This is a topic that's a little different from what I normally talk about. I mean, I'll talk about cell phones and Apple and laptops and tablets, kind of MacBooks, various laptops, all day. But there was one thing that if you're watching this, you probably have had a similar issue, which is not a problem with me right now, but it's just something I've seen on TV that is problematic. If you live in an area where Comcast, and I still call it Comcast, even though they want to call themselves Xfinity now, but if Comcast is an option for your home internet service, you might have seen commercials advertising their new 10G network. And I ask you, because I ask myself, what exactly do they mean when they say 10G? Because the last time I checked, and I have my little phones right here, and I think with the exception of that, my version of I think they're 5G phones. And when we talk about these Gs, we're talking about wireless connectivity. We're talking about the 5th generation of the ability to use these cell phones. 5G is where we currently are right now. So when I see a commercial that skips 6 through 9 and ends up at 10, I'm a little bit confused. I think the first time I looked at it, I sat there and pondered. I'm like, are they talking about their mobile service, Xfinity Mobile? Is that how they're saying 10G now? Or are they talking about their home internet? I was legit not sure which branch of their company they were referring to. Of course, I later found out that they're talking about their home internet service, and now I'm even more confused. Like, well, what was 1 through 9G? Like, I'm really trying to understand, because again, with the cell phones, even though we didn't really care or call it 1G or 2G, by the time we got to 3G, it was a thing. And for some of the older phones, I think 2G I don't know if it ever popped up on your phone, but that's what it was. It was the 2nd generation. Okay, whatever. But for them to call it 10G, yeah, again, I'm just still not sure why they are choosing to call it that. Because then you might think, well, does the G stand for the number of gigabits that could be transferred to and from your house? Or I'll just say 2, because we're definitely not talking about symmetrical transfers. I will bring it up on the screen right now, but I'm pretty sure it says that speeds cap out at 200 megs. So that's definitely not 10G. So what does it mean? And at the end of the day, somebody in the marketing department was just like, let's just call it this. Does it mean anything? Not really. I mean, 10 is higher than 5, and 9G doesn't sound good, nor does 8, nor does 7. We can't call it 6 because we might actually get sued for that one because it's so close to 5. So let's just call it 10G, and we'll see what happens. So some customers will believe that this 10G has anything to do with 5G, because we all know that 5G was a race, and we all know how important 5G was, and we all know how impactful it was to our daily lives. So let's call this 10G, and we'll get even more money. Now, obviously, I don't have access to that information in terms of how many new sales they got over the course of the last couple months as a result of them going through this new advertising campaign, no idea. But I'm confident that it worked on some people. I think my mom even asked me about it a couple of weeks ago, and I got irate the way that I get when people there's no such thing as a dumb question, but I get irate about certain topics because I get real passionate. I'm like, oh, Comcast, they did this, and in this case, they knew what they were doing. And for some on some customers, it will work for them to sign up for their service. Now, I will hopefully put this on the screen because I don't want to lie to you, but part of the issue with Comcast, in my opinion, is that they've had the same CEO for like the last 20-something years. He has like the majority of the voting shares. So, in essence, what he says goes, and that's it. And when you have one person making so many pivotal, he doesn't make all the decisions, but having the power to make or overrule others' decisions, then you end up with a company like Comcast. And fortunately, I have not had to deal with them as a home internet service customer for quite a while. It's been over a decade now, but I have family who does, and I've seen posts and people complaining. And in fact, I think one of the Linus Tech Tip, was it Tech Tips, or I think it was Tech Quickie. They talked about the fact that if you are a potential customer, so you don't even have you're not a Comcast customer. If you want their service and you look at their coverage map, and then you recognize that their coverage map is false because you know you don't have the ability to gain them as a service provider, you, the non-customer, have to contact Comcast to tell them that they need to update their maps. Stuff like that happens. And yeah, it's the result of one person having so much power for such a long time, and things are just stale. And yes, I'm not going to say that everything sucks with them, because that would be false. But from what I hear, and fortunately, I think one time I needed to cancel the service because I was moving, but the first time I think I called to just transfer the service, maybe. I don't remember. But, fortunately, I didn't have to call them too frequently. But I know other people who've had to. And in fact, my brother, he called them to cancel the service because he was moving. And he didn't let go of his apartment because he was living someplace temporarily. But he knew what he didn't need to maintain their service. And, he checked his credit card statement, the following month after he canceled. And, of course, they're still charging him. And it just seems like a hassle and a half to do almost anything with them. So for them to call something 10G, knowing that there is a 5G, 4G, 3G, 2G, 1G, even though we don't call them that, knowing that those exist, the only purpose for them to do that is to cause some type of confusion, and for you, the customer, to think, oh, 10 is better than 5, so therefore I should probably get it. So all in all, I wouldn't expect less from them, I wouldn't expect less from any of the other companies too, to just make something up and just hope that it sticks, and try to draw some correlation between what they're trying to sell you and maybe something you've already purchased. So I just felt like complaining about that. I think I do a lot of that on this channel, but it's more of a making sure you're aware of what it is that you're actually paying for. Because again, it would make sense if it related to wireless connectivity somehow, or if that G meant gigabits. I get what makes sense, but the 10 and the G, I don't think mean anything in this context. So why are you calling it that? So keep that in mind the next time you choose to sign up for something by Comcast or any other company. Think about the marketing department and think about the name of whatever it is that you're buying. Does this hold any value? Does it make sense? Is there a reason that they are deciding to call this whatever it is that they are calling it? And if the answer is yes or no, it honestly doesn't matter, but just be aware of whatever it is that you're choosing to purchase.